The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to the show. It's brought to you in association with Levi's Solicitors. Sell me some legal services, Michael Normanton.
Wills Probate and Conveyancing.
All three of those. What about some of the other good ones that you like?
Some of the some of the other ones you can do for your business.
Like which ones?
Personal ones.
Yeah.
Business and personal ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all those ones. Mm-hmm. Company, commercial, law.
Yeah, all that. I really like those. Yeah,
Yeah, good ones.
Yeah, 10% discount on your legal fees if you go through us, levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Some better news though, isn't there? If you want to increase that to 15%, that's an extra percent.
You can listen to a Monday podcast that's no longer on a Monday.
Mm-hmm. For now, it will be. It will be during the season.
Yeah,
comes out at the back end of the week. So naturally, what's the place you need to go for that?
The Phil Hay Monday Club.
Yeah, which is not on a Monday
that anymore.
Yeah, just find
I've got all that anymore.
Audio feed, video feed. You'll get 15% off Wills Probate Conveyancing, the big three that Michael really, really likes. Moscow White is here as well. Hello, Moscow White. Daniel Chapman.
Don't know if I like you describing Phil as coming out the back end of the week. Sounds coarse.
Well, Phil is coarse, isn't he? He's from Edinburgh. Right, what's that? Sorry, Michael. We're about to do a podcast and you're just reading something and drinking out of a mug?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, I've still not had time to read all of it because it's such a damn thick publication. But
164 pages.
Yeah, that's the one.
But I mean, for the benefit of anybody who's not watching this and is just maybe listening to a man reading something, which is not great audio, I have to say.
Probably not. Moscow knows more about it. He did it.
This is the Square Ball Summer Special. Please, just somebody name it.
Yeah, go and buy it.
Yeah.
You can buy that online. You can also buy these mugs, which I'm drinking out of to advertise it, even though it's not clean. But it's the Street Fighter ones we did. And there's you got Stuart Dallas, you got Helder Costa. Remember that guy?
Well, he's back at the club, isn't he?
Exactly.
As a champion.
He's come back. You've got Click It and you've got Jackie on there as well. So Are these a $5?
I don't know.
Let's make them a $5. If they're not, I'll change that.
You have the power, Michael.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, you enjoy reading that and drinking out that non-clean mug. And
the ones that we send to people will be clean. Unless, actually, we could probably charge more than a $5 for the ones
there is sort of
drunk out of.
There's a niche market for soiled goods, isn't there? So
I'll soil anything. If anyone wants anything soiling,
yep,
not a problem.
Mm-hmm. We said before you'll often put your DNA. Anyway, let's get into the weekly show then, where we will have a little update on what's happened. Not much has happened, has it, in the last few days? Finally, as we touched on with Phil, actually, on the Monday Club that went out on Tuesday, takeover is done. 10 p.m.-ish announcement on Monday night.
It was nothing then everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is the way it goes, and it's probably going to be the way that it goes now with the 49ers in charge, because they've spoken, haven't they, on multiple platforms now, with Parag Marathe, who's the new chairman. Obviously did the official Leeds United podcast with Matt Lewis, and we got half an hour of chat there. He's done an open letter in the YEP that's been published this morning, Wednesday, as we talk. What do you think about what they say? What's happened? Go on, say some words.
I mean, it's better than the alternative, which was it not happening and nothing happening and just waiting and waiting and waiting. I don't know. He seems very measured, doesn't he, Marathe's? I feel like he's being a bit more careful in some ways, while still trying to be very bullish about our chances.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at the stage, isn't it, where it's just words until we get a squad at the start of the season and
they're only words, and words are all I have.
Until we start winning some games with a good team and everything.
Yeah.
But,
sounds all right, doesn't it?
It sounds great in theory. Already talking about giving Farker a better deck of cards, he said, or something, for getting to once we're in the Premier League. Kind of already talking about
dealing him a better hand, wasn't it? Something along those lines.
Something like that. So that's good. Sounds like we've gone up this year, which is ideal.
I would accept that, just for the record. Just need to put that one out there. If we were to go up, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, all the people who are involved in it seems a bit weird. Like all the different famous people that we now know about.
That all seems to have been done, though, through maybe a single vehicle. So all the sports people maybe chuck a bit of money into that pot, because it's I don't know if you've sort of delved into the company that have coordinated all the athletes. Big League Advantage seems to be an organisation where a sports person can take money up front to try and push their career forward in future for giving up a percentage of their future earnings. So it's done like a venture capital thing, where they will give a bit of money to maybe 1,000 athletes. And if 10 of them make it, then it covers the money that they're giving to everyone, you know, just that sort of putting seed money out there. That's that organisation. But it just makes me think if that's a venture capital style vehicle, maybe that's what they've done. They've taken a bit of money off the various athletes so they can all put their name to it. This organisation has put some money into Leeds United, and then we're going to be great, get into the Premier League. They're all going to be happy, flying in with their helicopters, landing on the helipad on top of the new West Stand.
Of course. I suppose the concern is with that many people, it's just because they're famous names. If they were just random investors' names, you probably wouldn't even think twice about it. But because you know, he's Jordan Spieth, you think, is he going to be expecting to have his say for his $1 million or whatever he's put in?
The deal is, isn't it, that 49ers run it. So it'll be the people on the ground who are in charge of where the fund is. And Jim Messina as well, who was one of the senior people in Obama's 2012 election campaign. And I think he was one of, like, the chief of staff or something like that. So can we get promoted?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Michael.
He's saying this was his dream. I think that's part of the maybe reticence with this kind of stuff is that there's there's two mysteries. One will be the people that we never hear of, because we've got the high-profile ones, and Michael Schwimmer, who is the guy from your Big League Advantage, who has been rounding up all the athletes, said as well, like, here are some of the ones who want to be named, Michael Phelps and so on. And there was also, there are other people who don't want to be named, so immediately it's like, I don't care about Michael Phelps anymore. I want to know who are the people that you're not telling me about. And then
I think the feeling with some of that is it's some NFL players, Moscow, who don't want to be identified with the 49ers. So it's people from other teams.
Yeah, so who are they? So I want to know more about them. Like,
but they don't want you to know about them.
Exactly, that's why. So
because they'll get abuse.
Why don't you speculate if there's some gridiron players it could be?
Yeah, I could do that, but then also...
not biting, is he? Not biting.
Jim Messina, with his tweet saying it's an incredible honour to be part of the 49ers Enterprise Ownership Group. Thanks to Parag and Colin for including me. This has been a lifetime goal of mine, and I'm very excited about the future of this club. So on the one hand, it's kind of like people coming in very low-key, leaving it all to Parag and Co. to run. But on the other hand, you've got people who are excited about achieving a lifetime goal, which I would have thought, like, getting Obama re-elected was probably be how many life highlights one person needs. But good that he's managed to...
Leeds United getting promoted, Moscow, more important than the American presidential race.
Well, it's not even Leeds getting promoted. Just investing in a championship club apparently has been a lifetime goal of Jim Messina's for the last however many years he's been walking the earth.
Are you taking umbrage with people being enthusiastic about their new toy?
No, but it's... I'm just pointing out there's a bit of a disparity between the sort of silent investment model of we'll just give the money to 49ers Enterprises and let them get on with it. But then also this process at the moment where everybody's popping up going like, yeah, I'm really excited. And wasn't it Larry Nance Jr. the other week was clapping back at Leeds fans saying like, well, I own your club, so pipe down. It's like, how much of it do you own? And shut up.
Welcome everybody.
But also shut up. Like, it's nice. It is nice that they're all...
We're very cynical in Yorkshire.
It's nice that they're all excited, but I mean, we're playing Millwall in a few weeks. We'll see how excited they are then, and what exactly is the excitement.
I think Jim Messina and Larry Nance Jr. will be down the front windmilling against Millwall's fans.
Yeah, so Jim Messina was born October 1969. So let's say he was 10 in 1979. We don't have to just say that he was. So that's
well done there.
When Leeds were kind of, so as he was coming into his younger teen years, Leeds were plunging into Division 2. So he would have been, let's say 1985. He was 16. I'm
more intrigued
getting into soccer. It's probably the last time Leeds were really, really terrible. Coincides with him sort of coming up in the sports world. So this lifelong goal stuff.
Maybe he just meant owning a sports team, Moscow.
Brendan Ormsby is his favourite player, I know for a fact.
Because you just Googled any player from 1986. I knew you were tapping away at something. Yeah, so the levels of sort of...
Oh, hark at your cynicism. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Yeah, and Parag has his notebooks full of everything that Andrea Radrizzani did wrong, didn't he? So that we can get the benefit of those now, he'll actually do something about it.
Actually, all that stuff aside, what you say there is quite important because they have been on board as the 44% shareholders for a number of years now. And I thought it was interesting seeing how they sought to, particularly in that podcast appearance with Matt Lewis, where he sought to put a little bit of distance between him and Andrea Radrizzani, where it was stressed that he was in the backseat of the plane or whatever the phrase was that he used, just like you say, taking notes. You can't divorce yourself of complete responsibility, can you, surely? I
mean, the blame has just been passed down the line with the interviews, because Radrizzani's obviously done one as well, where he says it was all Victor Orta's fault.
Mm-hmm. And there was a bit of a dig at Jesse Marsh as well. Did you notice that?
What was that bit?
He basically said that we stayed up not because of tactics, but because of vibes. And then in the longer term, there was no resemblance between the videos we saw when he was interviewing and the videos that Victor showed me. Actually, it was putting the responsibility back on Orta. And the football that we saw on the pitch, and there were things like wingers playing in midfield, things like that. So I think what they saw, with their eyes, didn't match up to what they saw on video, which is probably a warning for us just looking at players on YouTube, isn't it?
I mean, he did see it for a long time though, and I feel like most fans saw it pretty quickly, and we're kind of going, "This is shit, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Isn't this football terrible?
There are a few. I think there's cases of people trying to have the cake and eat it here, both with. Parag saying to Matt Lewis, "Is like, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty open, honest, direct. I like to say what I mean and mean what I say. But last year I wasn't doing that. I was just sitting and watching. So it's kind of
that's what exactly I was getting at. Yeah,
it was challenging to bite my lip and just stay in my seat, so to speak, and watch the plane fly. It's like, well, if you are this straight talking guy who's going to solve problems, why not? That was probably a good time to." Speak up, and that's goes along with Radrizzani in his interview, saying that last season I was distant and quite passive in all these situations, and just living in hope until the last month when I was desperate and I sent Javi and Victor home and tried to play magical cards with Sam Allardyce.
It's quite difficult.
That's like Dungeons and Dragons, like challenged him to a game.
It's quite difficult to hear Radrizzani distance himself from the club that he owns. It's kind of the book really stops with you, doesn't it?
So we've got on the one hand, we've got Radrizzani being distant and passive and saying that now it's a mistake that he let Victor Orta do everything. He says that was the mistake. Basically, what it comes down to is I let Victor do too much. And then you've also got Parag Marathe saying that I was just sitting back and watching the plane fly. So all these guys who were running the club, that's the chairman and the vice chairman.
It was the autopilot from Airplane, wasn't it? The inflatable guy.
Which was in the shape of Victor Orta, and was like, yeah, we just let Victor do it. And now it's like, well, and none of you thought at any time to not be passive and not be distant and not just sit and watch it fly into the Championship. Like there were opportunities there where you could have done things, and so sort of saying,
Radrizzani identified it, didn't he? He mentioned going into the World Cup break. He said I should have done it then when we had 6 weeks, and everyone was saying it at the time.
Same. He said he should have sacked Bielsa earlier as well. He's very good with
hindsight.
Well, he's good with hindsight, and also I've noticed the theme. I mean, he's outgoing. It's weird. It's all the future is happening, but we don't know anything about the future because it hasn't happened yet. So this is like an opportunity, especially when Radrizzani sits there for 17 minutes, talking about what's been going on, to talk about what has gone on. The theme with when he does come up with these mea culpas is he's very. I don't know if it's all coincidence or if I'm just being cynical, but he does tend to come up with all the things that you would probably say fans have been saying on Twitter. All kind of come up, like when he talks about the gap between the Austrian league and the Premier League, and he was complaining that we were playing wingers in midfield, and it's the first time 18 months since Bielsa has been sacked, and suddenly we're hearing that he wanted him to be a director of football at some point, and it feels there's a theme where some of these things with Radrizzani quite often feel like something he's read fans saying. Why didn't we make Bielsa a director of football?
It's kind of reverse engineering it.
Yeah, and then when it's come to him explaining it, he's like, well, yeah, I really thought he could have been a director of football. And fans going on and on, everyone was saying Austrian league to the Premier League is going to be quite difficult. And then at the end, it's like, yeah, I thought that too, but Victor showed me these videos, and it all seems quite convenient.
I was never sure about the orange and black kit, but Victor said everyone would love it.
Sammy insisted on it when he designed it with his crayons. I think we've
and he's done it with the stadium as well, hasn't he? He's kind of going, look, I would have never done anything with Elland Road to secure money. It's like, well, But you did. It just didn't happen. But
he also
did do that.
He clapped back in the statement as well, didn't he? When he said it's no business of yours. I think this was to the Athletic. What Acer does with its assets, and as a second, that's our ground.
Well, that was it. He's saying that the bank had raised it as a possibility. The bank in Italy that he was talking to about funding, and they'd said, "Well, what about getting using Elland Road as a loan?" And he said, "But it was never seriously going to happen." Adam Crafton, who reported this for the Athletic, is saying like, "Well, I've got signed heads of terms with saying that was going to happen," and ultimately he can go away and say, well, it didn't happen, and that's true, but there's the wiggle room there as to what did happen, and it's where it sort of feels the same vibe with looking at Orta's work and looking at Marsh's work. Like, you can't say he's wrong to say that the gap from the Austrian league to the Premier League was too big, and that playing a winger in midfield was stupid, but it does have the ring of convenience at this point, especially with someone who is so plugged into social media, that I do get the feeling he prepares for these interviews by working out what fans would like to hear him apologise for, and then going like, I was going to say that all along. I was going to say don't play a winger in midfield, but
if you actually scratch the surface a bit, the truth is there, and the truth is probably that he was a bit out of his depth and lacked the knowledge, and he admitted to lacking the clout to take the club on, didn't he? So at least there was a bit of honesty in that regard. And I think that was probably the truth that underpins it all. And the other question is, does it really matter now?
Well, yeah, because it's put us in the Championship, and if it doesn't matter, why does he spend 70 minutes on Sky talking about it? He could have, we were saying the other week, he's got Andrea Pirlo to go play with. Go bother him, see where he's going to play his wingers.
Yeah, but he needs the validation, doesn't he? He always has done, and it kind of just speaks to his character that he felt the need to have his say again. It
also then does impact on what the 49ers are bringing, and it's interesting that it's specifically the last 6 months that Radrizzani seems to be apologising for, when he's been passive and distant, and at the same time we've got Marathe saying that he was just like watching and taking notes, and it's a bit like, well, one of you could have maybe done something about keeping us in the Premier League, and you both just didn't. And it's weird to get that from both sides, because Parag Marathe, he says he's got his notes now on how not to run a football club. So from the last 6 months, it's don't do what Andrea Radrizzani did, which is be right. So don't be passive and distant, and don't just let a sporting director do what he wants without any intervention until a month from the end of the season when you get Sam Allardyce. Like, that should have been, I'm not sure you need to learn that.
Especially when all the fans were saying it all along. That all the fan concerns were aired. And anyway, new broom and all that.
I do think on paper, at least, Marathe should have a lot more experience. I know it's how much of it can translate directly from NFL to Premier League, well, Championship / Premier League aspirationally, but he does have an awful lot of experience running a big football team.
It's the organisation side of it, isn't it, as much as anything? And as he said in his interview when he was chatting to Matt Lewis, like, I want to be able to put in a team of good executives, so I don't have to do anything as the chairman. I don't have to intervene. And
the 49ers, as a club, will know how many people it takes to run that as well. Whereas he'd probably come to Leeds and go, well, why is there only Victor doing this? Why is there only 6 people in this commercial team, or however many there might be? Like, if you look at just the size of Levi's Stadium, for example, you can immediately see there are probably like thousands of people who work there, because it's a shopping centre in various parts of it, and it's like the scale of the operation is completely different to anything we have at Leeds. So hopefully they can at least get on top of that sort of stuff and maybe recognise the number of people required to run a big club.
Well, they've had long enough to look at it, and he said that, and he's got his notes.
But he also says, I've negotiated contracts in my sleep at the 49ers, which I don't know if they were aware that that's how he was doing them. Like, this contract's like a dream. Like, yeah, and the ball is shaped differently, and the sport is different, but the agent game and the player game is very much the same. That's what I made a name for myself in American sports.
There's a number of big agencies, Moscow, like who deal with stuff like Wasserman, for example, have been one of the big ones, but they're based out there's the big office like in LA, and there's one in San Francisco, I think. So,
and there are increasing numbers of American owners, so it probably is all tilting that way a bit.
Yeah, and he said that's one of the things that differentiates him from any other club's chairman, is his knowledge around salaries and the work involved, and also the colour of his skin as well, which is he doesn't look the part of what an NFL executive should look like, particularly 23 years ago. And there is
That's his words, to be clear. You're not being strange there.
No, this is something he brought up, and it is an interesting factor because certainly the boardrooms in English football certainly don't have many people who Parag Marathe and Rudy Klein-Thomas are kind of a interesting entry into that world as well, which gives us it's a new element that Leeds United are bringing that we did not have before. So he's definitely seeing himself as a different person to, and again, I said Premier League. We're not in the Premier League anymore, are we?
I mean, we are really, aren't we? We're just in the lower Premier League.
Well, that's the other thing. He says the Premier League needs Leeds because Leeds is different. Leeds is a movement. Elland Road is a temple. There's a lot of good things to hear in all that stuff. And it was interesting as well that he's saying that the big enough task and the fun enough task and the massive enough task is to make Leeds as big as we should be in the UK and in Yorkshire. So there's that worry that they're going to come in and be like marketing everything to the USA, and we're going to have, try and get some even worse players than Weston McKennie to appeal to that market is actually more. We might get Hecky back if we're trying to appeal to people in Yorkshire. David Batty as an ambassador.
I know there's a certain amount of cynicism underpinning the stuff you were saying before, Moscow, but doesn't it feel like a weight has been lifted a little bit? Like the new broom has brought with it a little bit of just a sense of renewal and moving forward and progression.
Well, it just means we can buy some players, doesn't it?
Yeah,
is what it means. And hopefully, if we're waiting for money to arrive to be spent, it's here now. So it's in a big suitcase. I heard all in dollar bills.
We got a technical director who signed a load of nonsense for Everton, so that's going to be good.
He wasn't the only person there, was he? At the time, he was Victor Ort's fault. Is it Marcel Brands, who was his best mate, who hired him? So the pair of them teamed up and signed a load of garbage. So that's going to be good. I don't know. I mean, I guess because I wasn't particularly I've not been anxious about all the waiting for EFL to approve and the season coming up. I know there's been a lot of people very stressed about this, but from my point of view, I basically just Angus Kinnear's paid $500,000 to worry about this stuff, so he can worry about it. It's why I had to spend my days panicking about any of it for free. If we don't have a team against Cardiff, it's not my fault, it's his fault, and he's paid $500,000 to make sure we have one, so fucking sort it out. But you will have to watch it.
That's fine. I've watched rubbish football teams before. I'm like, if the worst thing that happens to me in August is that Leeds are a bit bad, then that's just another day in the rest of my life.
It's like an old jumper, putting it back on and be like, oh yes, I know this.
But the particular sort of stress of why aren't the EFL approve this? When are we going to get this over the line? Who's going to play it? Not my problem. Someone else is dealing with this.
That said, it matters to people, doesn't it? Because Christ, I think about Leeds United far too much than is healthy. It dominates a lot of my thoughts, and I wish it didn't sometimes. I
was never particularly concerned that it wouldn't go through because it seems very legit, and the Premier League had already provisionally approved it and all that sort of stuff. So you thought, well, this is going to be fine. It just could take a while, and if it takes too long, then we see loads of players leaving before we see players arriving. And if you
it can hinder you from a competition point.
And if you go late, maybe you don't get the players you want, or you end up on third and fourth choices, and you do start the season in not such good shape. Whereas it feels like now stuff's going to start happening relatively quickly, and hopefully by the time we do get to a couple of weeks before the season, we've got a fair look at what the squad looks like, and hopefully if the players they're talking about keeping, because that was the other thing Marathe said, was that they're trying to keep some players, which you would assume means Adams, Harrison, Nonto, people like that. We need to keep Nonto too because we've got about 200 mugs, so get one of those too.
That's a nice
Well,
muggy.
you're getting one of these Leeds Fighter version 2 mugs, get a Willie Nonto mug too. But yeah, talking about keeping those players. But
hang on a second, would the postage on 2 mugs be any more than...
Same.
One?
Might as well get one.
So you get 2 mugs?
And some special, chuck that in too.
Right.
And a shirt. And
it's up to 3 kilograms domestically. It's just,
well, you'd be foolish just to go and buy one thing, wouldn't you? Because you're going to pay the same postage as if you're buying 3 kilograms worth of things.
Yeah, it's all tracked as well, so it only rarely goes missing.
Yeah, the Royal Mail do just dump them in canals sometimes and stuff, don't they?
I mean, they don't. It's very important.
Well, they go somewhere. They go somewhere.
The sheer volume of postage must be difficult to keep track of it all, even though it is tracked. But yeah, I mean,
we should just say they definitely don't dump your posting canal.
There has been a lot to do and a lot to work on, and so I hope that Angus Kinnear has not slept and has just done nothing but sweat and panic and cry for the last 2 months. Daily faxes to the EFL, just written in blood, begging for them to
It won't
complete
come.
this, to
It
give
won't
him
come
some,
through in blood. If you faxed blood, it won't come through as blood, though. You do know that, don't you? It just comes through as a smudge on a piece of paper.
Again, Angus's problem. So I hope that him and Parag and everybody have been really, stressed out to fuck, because they're paid to do it. I just sort of think you even describe it as unhealthy. Like, it's better to not be unhealthy. Like, if things are unhealthy,
I'm trying.
Try to avoid them.
Well, I've been trying to avoid them. That's what I've been trying to do for a few weeks, and I can't help it.
Bleeding into a fax machine is one of the things not to do. So if you can get someone else to do it.
And I am joking about like that side of things, but I have been a lot more like sanguine with it this summer, feeling like it's probably going to be fine. And I know it's been shit that we got relegated, but assuming it goes through, and obviously it has now gone through, we've got far more clout than anyone else in that division, just about, haven't we?
Pretty much, yeah. It should, on paper, should piss the league, shouldn't we?
Hey, are you on board HMS Piss the League?
Yeah, we'll see, won't we? But it's not like,
It's not like it was before.
We're not in 2013, are we?
No.
For example, it's a different picture than it has been for every other year of us trying to get out of the Championship. Even in, Bielsa's second year, where you went, okay, this all looks good. It was really good last year, probably going to be good again, but there was still a fair bit of doubt there, because there are still teams coming down with money and whatnot. We're one of those teams now.
Mm-hmm.
We can just buy some good players and go back up, and not have to do the whole Scott Wootton thing again.
Which is funny, because it's interesting how much of it is just kind of perception and sort of vibes based. When I was reading about Ethan Ampadu this morning, who we have signed for £7 million plus 10 million plus £3 million of add-ons potentially, and seeing how all the things that sort of make it make sense, and that are like the 49ers are putting down a marker and showing how they're doing things differently. But it's quite difficult to see how it's different from signing Pat Bamford was, when it's a player who's been loaned out by Chelsea loads, yet to find a home, needs to settle down, kickstart his career. Like, even the fee is the same, 7 million. He's got a lot of experience for a young player. It's really nice, like, needed to get a fresh start, but should be much too good for the level, and all these things. And they do all sound very good, but I don't see how there was the difference. Like, we're not paying over the odds for potential anymore. We're just paying £7 million for potential instead, because, I mean, all transfers are a bit of a gamble. But there's that, just because it's come straight after the takeover's been announced, and we hear all the things from Parag Marathe about how everything's going to be different. And the thing with Jim Messina, who's innovative. I mean, this is first paragraph of his Wikipedia page, so it's not really deep research, but his innovative fusion of technology and politics led Google chairman Eric Schmidt to call the 2012 race the best run campaign ever for Barack Obama. So it's like, whoa, technology, fusion, like tech, data, stuff.
I'm enjoying your level of cynicism around all this.
Given this player's been, what is a player who's been loaned from Chelsea 3 times? He's been relegated every single time.
Yes.
It's almost, and he's 22 and nobody knows if he's a midfielder or a centre back. It's almost the definition of broken toy. He's exactly the same as we always sign players like this. He's probably going to be great. He is a good player. But then the perception around it is just like, wow,
I don't think
changed.
he's a broken toy. I don't think he's not in the same stripe of fixer-upper that Orta went for.
Also, with the data side of it, this is the sort of Nick Hammond bit, isn't it? Isn't he? He was the man brought in to do this transfer window. Well, I guess they get the other stuff in place from all the notebooks get translated into appointments and systems. And
Farke wanted him at Norwich, but they couldn't get him at that time. And he'll fit if we play. He wants to play 2 deep line midfielders. So if one of them is Adams and one of them is Ampadu, that's great. They know each other from. He was at Leipzig as well. He didn't get relegated at Leipzig, but he also didn't play much because he got injured a lot. So there's all the kind of things there that if you could look at them either way, you would probably, if Victor Orta was signing him, you'd go, oh, it's just a fucking another one of them. But because Nick Hammond and the 49ers are signing him, it's like, great, this is going to be.
But you can't remove.
League time.
You might be right in an objective sense, but you cannot divorce all that stuff from the opinions of Orta, because you've got his track record to go on and the amount of money that he's pissed up the wall on inappropriate signings, and they were all flagged up in the stuff that Radrizzani said, wasn't it? Like about signing players from the Austrian league, for example, and expected them to make the step up.
Bamford wasn't quite the same either, was he? Because
he's a lot older.
I was going to say he was older and he had time at Middlesbrough.
So maybe it's more of a Lewis Baker.
Yeah, but I suppose it's like you're getting Lewis Baker.
Brown.
You're getting Izzy Brown a couple of years.
From Chelsea.
But when he should have left Chelsea on a permanent deal is the thing. Because that's the thing. I feel like Chelsea ruined the careers of players like this by keeping hold of.
So we should have signed Izzy Brown for permanent.
Well, if we'd have got Izzy Brown at 22, he might have been as a permanent deal. It might have worked out differently for him. That's all I'm saying. It's a bit like how it looked like for a while Spurs were just going to keep Jack Clarke and ruin his career. And then they just let him go, and now he's doing well at Sunderland. And I feel like players need to find a home, don't they? And you need to have a place that they can commit to a bit, because otherwise you just end up thinking, well, I'm here for the next 3 months or whatever. But
it did work with Pat Bamford because he helped get us promoted, and then everybody hated him.
Well, what I find with a lot of the Chelsea farm players though is that they haven't played a lot of like top level football, whereas he seems to have played bit much more. He's played a lot of international games, and he's still a young man. So
really, the bottom of the top level.
Maybe so, but look
the relegation zone of the top.
But look where we are. We've just been relegated, so he's perfect.
I know, which is I'm just finding the
shit to pull out of all this.
I'm just finding the vibe shift interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
but sometimes narrative doesn't need to shift like that, doesn't it? And even if there are similarities between Ampadu and Bamford or Lewis Baker or anything like that, let's say I'm kind of tapping into that sense of renewal and something new and a bit more clout.
Signing him in a good mood instead of signing him in a bad mood.
Yeah.
So it feels good. And I think he's going to be a good player, but looking forward to actually seeing him play, and then all this stuff can go away.
It's what Phil said on Tuesday. If we were signing him and we just stayed up, you'd kind of go, really? But I think we're dealing with the circumstances as they're presented to us now, which is that we've just been relegated, and this at this price point makes sense, doesn't it? And the level that he's at makes sense.
And he doesn't have to play every game either. If we sign, well, if we keep Verba and Cresswell, then you've got those two to play, and Cooper, they can play centre back if he's not going to play centre back. If we sign Glenn Kamara and Tyler Adams stays, then he doesn't have to play midfield either. He can come off the bench. He can play cup games. He can rotate in on a Tuesday when
might as well sell him
when you play 46 games. But you can have a squad.
We'll loan him back to Chelsea.
You can have a squad.
Need him, actually,
is the thing. Like we don't need to just have a first 11 and then everyone else is terrible.
I mean the first 11 will be a good start at this point.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there is an argument for saying that we need the warm bodies now because it's a 46-game season plus your League Cup ties.
One League Cup tie.
So 50 League Cups.
One FA Cup game.
It'll be a 50-game season at best. But still, it is a long season, isn't it? There's a lot of football. So you actually do need the warm bodies at this level more perhaps than the Premier League. But even still, have some warm bodies. Better than cold bodies.
I mentioned this when we recorded with Phil, but yeah, I did scare myself a little bit by looking at Sheffield United forum where they were discussing him, because I think someone was saying they should get him again, and everyone was, this is obviously prior to him signing for us, and everyone was saying no, he was terrible last time, and he was awful in both midfield and at centre back, and people then dug up the thread and were laughing at us paying £12 million for him, which we haven't, because it's 7 million plus add-ons, isn't it? But you know,
we can fix him.
We probably can.
Not that he's broken.
The other side to this is we are playing at a level lower down. Don't forget, So maybe he's going to be able to shine. And if he can't cut it when we get up into the Premier League, which is what Phil was saying, like when we were chatting on Tuesday, like we're signing him for the here and now, and he's still young enough that he might progress with us. And if he doesn't, then we can move him on in future. But it's perhaps something we failed to do in the past few years, is just to sign people who strike you as vaguely sensible.
Mm.
Same age as Brendan Aronson, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Just saying.
And Joffrey Gelhardt?
Mm. He's got a lot of experience, hasn't he? So international caps like Brendan for the USA, and I suppose Aronson had won the league, hadn't he? And it'll be fine.
He played for Exeter when he was an actual child.
What, did he?
Yeah, he was 15 when he made his...
I was going to say he was like 8.
No, but still 15.
Yeah.
What were you doing at 15?
No.
Nothing. Rubbish.
Kicking around. I was still playing for the school team.
He was playing for Exeter then.
Yeah.
So, and then Chelsea obviously saw him.
I could have got
Chelsea saw a 15-year-old playing in panic.
I was nowhere near Exeter. I couldn't have played for Exeter.
That's probably what held you back.
Yeah, it was just the I couldn't commute that when I was 15. I didn't have a driving licence, Michael. What would you expect me to do?
All right. You're forgiven.
Crying out loud. Glenn Kamara then. Do you want him?
I was going to say he's another Welsh international who's not from Wales. So it's
not Glenn Kamara.
Ethan Ampadu, so he's got that in common with Tyler Roberts.
And Dan James.
Yeah, so 2 other great successes.
So you've tarnished the Americans, you've tarnished the nation of Wales.
Tyler Roberts
you don't want the 49ers.
Tyler Roberts was good for the level. No, it's all going to be great. I'm very excited about everything that's happening, really.
Because we were chatting before we started recording, I was saying, you're looking forward to the new season. You went, no, it's too soon.
Yeah. I mean, just from the point of view that I would quite like it all to go away for a while. I'd already had a summer. Never mind.
Should we do it maybe a bit like Glastonbury, where they have a fallow year every 4 or 5 years, just to give the field a chance to recover? We should all have a year off football.
I think that was almost this summer, and to an extent, that's kind of what I was saying before about leaving all the stress to Angus Kinnear as much as possible, is because this summer has been a little bit odd because it's the first real summer break since before COVID. And when you go back to the 2 summers before COVID, was Bielsa taking over from Heckingbottom and then Bielsa staying after the playoffs. So there was a certain amount of Bielsa was quite early. It was quite early in that summer that we knew he was coming. So that was all about what Bielsa's going to do. And then the second summer was what Bielsa's going to do again. After that, it's just been straight from promotion into the Premier League. There was only about 3 weeks gap or something ridiculous, and all the dates were wrong. And then Euros happened in the summer after that, and then there's still short summers. And this has been the first one where, even though it ended a month late, still there was a period of not a summer tournament, nothing happening apart from wait for Kinnear to sort the it's his fault now personally to sort the takeover out and all that stuff to happen. So I could kind of understand why there was a lot of people feeling a little bit more antsy than usual, because we haven't had a gap like this. There's not been for 5 years a summer where Leeds have just kind of gone nothing happening, nothing to say, nobody in, nobody out, no manager, no nothing until now. And so my point of view is I don't want to fill that gap with stress that other people are there to handle. But I would quite like that stress-free period to carry on for a little bit longer.
It's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be good. Football actually going away for a bit would be quite handy just in general, but it tends to... Gianni Infantino don't want that, does he?
You were saying just a minute ago you don't need to worry about this thing. You don't have to worry about football at all if you don't want.
No, but
call it a day.
I'll have to. Yeah, that's true. Could just not bother when.
Just follow tennis or something.
Well, tennis was pretty good this year, wasn't it?
Didn't watch any of it.
Oh,
no room for
I heard it was good.
Too busy stressing about Leeds.
I was busy refreshing Twitter, waiting for sending more vials of blood to the EFL.
I did enjoy watching other sports this summer. I enjoyed watching the Ashes as being good to watch. That was exciting, particularly the test at Headingley, and I got right involved in that towards the end. The tennis was quite absorbing as well, but none of it matches up, does it? It's not like this is our special drug.
Best thing about the summer is the TSB Summer Special.
What's most special about it?
The fact that it's only £8, which is a ridiculous price for 164 pages. It's got a story in it by Sarah Sherwood, who is an excellent writer. So fiction, you don't get that very often.
What sort? Is it like fan fiction?
No. And then there's a photo of there's a double-page spread featuring photos of Kevin Blackwell and Paul Butler facing each other from the first day of the 2004-05 season.
White plain, or is it absorbent?
Well, I mean, the quality of the paper is another factor as well that needs to be borne.
Any pictures of Glenn Kamara? Because we were talking about Glenn Kamara.
That's one of the reasons why, so people wonder why it's been a busy summer. Go and buy the products of the busy summer from the squareball.net for only £8.
£6 if you're a TSB Plus member, by the
Yeah.
way. That's good, isn't it? Good value. Glenn Kamara, do you want him?
Yeah.
Let's get him.
Yeah.
Talking about £4 million. Should we have him?
Oh, it's nothing.
Nothing? I mean, if you pay for it over 4 years, only £1 million a year, he says.
I can stick that on the credit card.
Yeah. Easy.
No bother at all.
I don't really know anything about him. I've always heard his name because he plays for Rangers. I just don't care.
There's a sense that he downed tools because he didn't get a move sooner. So
Are we going to do the he's finished joke?
He's no finish.
He's 27, etc.
Yeah.
He is actually born in Finland, though. So he is.
Was it Monty Python who did a song about Finland?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, come back. I'll just talk among yourselves for a second. I'll have a look.
But no, he seems like he would probably be a sensible sort of signing, and midfielder actually in his prime, rather than one of the broken toys, as Moscow.
Yeah, it was
as labelled Ampadu. Is that what it is now? Just a shrug.
It was Monty Python, yeah.
But yeah, I seems fine. I can't say I've seen him play, but Rangers fans seem to like him, so fine.
Finland, the country where I want to be. Pony trekking or camping or just watching TV. Finland. It's the country for me.
Well, there you go. Well, it's Scotland is where he is now.
Yeah.
So let's just get him out of there first.
What's wrong with Scotland? Beautiful country.
Lack of vitamin D. They don't have enough sunlight. Moscow, so you lack vitamin D.
It's all right. Just take supplements. He's played for Dundee as well, so we know these things about him. It's quite an extreme trip from Southend and Colchester, very much the south, to Dundee, the opposite end.
North, I think the kids call it these days.
Mm-hmm. Played for the Dark Blues at Dens Park.
Which is very, very close to Tannadice, isn't it? They're the two closest.
It's funny how
football
close
grounds.
those are.
Yeah.
It used to fascinate me, the photos of those two grounds being just down the road from each other. Imagine coming out of Elland Road and seeing like another ground, another team's football stadium, not full of greyhounds.
Anyway, Glenn Kamara.
Yeah, let's get him. We need someone to plug the void left by Mark Rocker, don't we?
Yeah.
Bring a tear to your eye. That farewell.
Don't.
No, it's strange, wasn't it?
Well, all of them. I know they mean well. I know they want to try and say thanks for having me and all that, but it just comes out as remarkably insincere and inauthentic, doesn't it, most of the time?
Do you think he'll have to do this if he comes back next summer and we loan him to someone again? He'll have to do another thanks Leeds fans for a great couple of days as I passed through, as I came back to have my contract renegotiated for another loan move. As I signed the paperwork, I thought of the incredible backing that I got.
I will never forget the atmosphere that I experienced game after game at Elland Road, nor the support of the Leeds United fans. So if he comes back next year and says, I forgot how good this was, you said you'd never forget, and you did when he turns up against York in pre-season next year.
What you want to hear if he does turn up next season is, I've learnt how to take corners. And that's the only thing. None of this flannel, using two different typeface colours for no apparent reason. I like the little sticky tape as well. It looks, the graphic that's been put together does make it look like he's sort of written it on the back of a torn up till receipt and then glued it to some pictures of himself, which is an odd thing for a person to have done, but the graphic designer has decided that's the vibe we want to go for. Like
the arts and crafts vibe.
Imagine if you'd scrawled this on the back of the bit of paper that you just fished up from the bottom of your handbag. And
it looks like the back of a till receipt.
It's exactly the words that I just used.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't listening. Do you know why? Because I was
You're sneezing.
No. I sneezed, but I was also looking at maps of Dundee.
Okay.
Did you know there's a third pitch just next to, I think is that Tannadice that's over to the right? Yeah. So you got Dens Park, which is actually now due to sponsorship, the Kilmac Stadium. And then about a few hundred feet away, or whatever it is, it's a few hundred yards, Tannadice is there, which belongs to Dundee United. And then there's a third pitch just off the corner of Tannadice, Gussie Park, which I think might be an artificial pitch now. Move your football pitches around the city, or just share one. I'm sure that'd go down well.
Yeah, well, you might as well. They built them on top of each other.
Yeah.
Move one literally on top of the other one, put another tier on. I'm sure that's feasible.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Mark Rocker. Yeah.
Did I mention that it looks like it's been written on a till receipt?
You did. Yeah, you did. You did mention that. And
could you mention it to complete the set?
I'm not gonna. Joel Robles went a bit more straightforward. He did include a bit of bold type, and then a thing that makes it look like it's signed, but it's clearly just a different font at the bottom.
Yeah, that's his actual signature. That's very neat.
Calligraphy. Yeah. Delightful.
And also a security risk.
Well, to put your signature on, you don't
spoof his identity.
Yeah, he leaves. Joel leaves with the bitter taste of not having managed to keep the team in the Premier League for another year. But I am convinced that this year, Leeds and its wonderful fans will return to the place they deserve, because I will be in the Saudi second division
with Robbie Fowler
out of the way. So is the implication there. I think this wonderful club with its wonderful players, not including me, will have a great chance next year because I'm going.
I do enjoy on the Mark Rocker one how they've alternated the blue and the black text. That's a nice little touch. I
Again,
think.
something Moscow mentioned.
Yeah.
I like the fact it looks like it's written on a till receipt.
Oh, thanks, Michael. I noticed that really, honestly. It's been ripped as well, isn't it? The Robles
Do we know where has Robles gone and who will his manager be?
Well, I was just going to say that the point I was going to make was to contrast the formatting on Robles, which is in all black type, but I do like there's a bit of emphasis there as well.
A very tidy signature. I don't know what it says about his quality. That obviously the Saudi league is throwing money at absolutely anybody at the moment, but he can't get a better club than the second division team.
It's
That
still,
feels
it's
like
still
a bit of a-
probably like 60 grand a week, though, isn't it, or something?
But it feels like a bit of a kick in the teeth to us as well, that the goalkeeper that we were relying on to keep us in the Premier League can't now get a better gig than the second division. At least
It's almost like everything was a bit desperate, Moscow.
Well, maybe if certain people had not been taking notes on somebody else sitting, being passive, and then trying to play a game of, Dungeons and Dragons with Sam Allardyce for the last month.
I'm not kidding, right? In Dundee, there's another football pitch, another couple of streets over, next to a hockey
Probably
pitch.
just the training grounds. I like to think that during these meetings, Marathi actually visibly wrote stuff as as it was going on around him. Just furrowed his brow a bit and went, okay.
Well,
Don't do that.
This is where Angus Skinner probably earned his money, because you've got Pragdas making notes and you've got Radrizzani just glazing over, gazing out the window, not really know what's going on, and then just going like, well, what does Victor think?
Flicking through pictures of Sampdoria shirts he can brew in on his phone. Hey, why don't we change these colours? That badge is stupid.
And Angus in the middle, having not slept for a week, trying to get them to do something, but well paid. So, and it's a choice, isn't it? He could go and work for Pepsi again, couldn't he? So
I'd like to have seen Andrea Radrizzani's goodbye interview printed out on till receipt.
What, like, did you see Mark Rockers? That looked like it was on a receipt.
Have you got that somewhere?
Yeah, it's on the
just
sheet.
on the
It's on the
sheet?
sheet in front of you.
we didn't get one from Rasmus Christensen.
So have you noticed that the corner's taped down? Looks like a deliberate arts and crafts, etc. We didn't get one from Rasmus Christensen.
No.
No?
Maybe it's because he respects the loan market and he expects to be back. But Roma have made the mistake as well of introducing him with loads of like graphics and photos and videos of him like looking tough and leering down the camera and being like, "Grr, I'm strong, baldy head man," and Viking from Denmark, etc.
Then a little 5'6" winger out muscles him.
Yeah, so they're going to be in for a shock. Him and Diego Llorente, that's going to sort out of it. It is.
Have you seen Mark Rocker's? No, do you see the Mark Rocker's reveal pic by Betis where they put a rock on their Twitter and put two of those little stick-on googly eyes on it? See that? Which I thought, oh, you've seen him play then, is the obvious punchline.
Yeah, that's his mobility.
Have you seen Matt Rocker on Instagram over summer?
No.
He's incredibly ripped. He's just put videos of him working out on the...
Why can't he run?
It looks magnificent with his shirt
He's
off.
12 years your junior and he's a professional footballer. What is it about that that's surprising?
No, but he's in really, really good shape.
Yeah, so we just watched him for a year barely move.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's the disconnect. I suppose he's more of a cover model as opposed to an athlete, maybe.
It's what people say about the Premier League, though, isn't it? That the speed and the standard is like that much higher than everywhere else. That you could go from the Championship feeling like a strong, pacey person who can control the ball and pass it without thinking twice. You realise that in the Premier League, the players are just passing it without thinking at all, and they're all like, you think you're strong, but they're all stronger than you. And you think that this guy from Austria is going to be fine, and he's not. And then you can't think of anything to do about it because Victor said it was all right, and you've decided
And Victor
to be
carries
passive.
an unnaturally high amount of power within your organisation.
Yep, for no apparent reason, and there's nothing anybody who owns the place can do about it. So it's all. So Mark Rocker's body is a metaphor for Leeds United's time in the Premier League.
Who do you think would win in a fight? Victor Orta, who I think would be... I think you're talking chaos fight methods when Victor fights.
Biting.
Yeah, biting, scratching,
Ball
kicking,
grabbing.
nuts. Yeah, just absolute frenzy. A little bit like Taz, the Tasmanian Devil, or Greta Steinson, the new technical guy.
Greta.
Just like smashes the headbutt on him.
Yeah, he'll go early.
His profile suggests he's a very straight talker, doesn't suffer fools gladly, that kind of thing.
Has done a good job directing the new Barbie movie. That's Greg Gerwig, sorry.
And he didn't have to explain it. I got it. It just wasn't very funny. I reckon he'd have Victor.
Yeah,
It'd be closer than you imagine, because I say Victor he'd be going crazy.
You
probably have to chuck a bucket of water on Victor to calm him down.
You could wind Victor up now in a very mild way. Just upset him. His head would go.
And like you could do hair pulling on Victor. He couldn't do it to Steinson.
Grease him up. So Victor can't get a hold.
That's how you stop the gremlin, wasn't it? You throw water over gremlins.
Yes.
That's what they don't like.
It's the Mogwais, isn't it? Is the gremlin? Oh, no, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's
that.
how you see Victor Orta. It's a gremlin gone wild.
I was thinking just do like an angry cat. If you chucked water on an angry cat, it'd probably calm it down and it'd stop being angry. That's all. I view him as an angry cat.
Okay. Good. But anyway, we're glad Greta's here. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's someone, isn't he? Someone else to do some work, which is good.
That seems to be very much. That was kind of the vibe of the statement Leeds put out about him and stuff. Is we've decided update on football department. That's new. I don't know if we had a football department anymore.
Have you not seen it? It basically took to the field 38 times last season and was shit for most of it.
So Daniel Farker, first team manager. Now steps have been taken to restructure the football department within Leeds United. So Greta Steinson, technical director, is going to work alongside Nick Hammond, who will continue to oversee player trading for a bit. And then Adam Underwood stepping up to become head of football operations, which is different from technical director. So it's two different things. Hannah Cox is head of football administration.
I don't feel like we know anything about Hannah Cox.
Isn't she in all the signing videos, giving the contracts to players to sign?
Is that her?
I think that is Hannah Cox.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a promotion or just a continuation of the role, because Rob Price, she's sort of she's included in a sentence with Rob Price, who is he's head of medicine and performance, and he was doing that before. So again, it's kind of like it's a bit of a, when it comes down to it, we've got the manager, which we knew about. We're announcing Greta Steinson. Nick Hammond is still here. He's staying for a while, but then he'll go away. Adam Underwood was already here, but he's still having another job. And Hannah Cox and Rob Price is going to keep doing what they were doing. So that's the new look.
Is Steinson the first bald man of influence since Brian McDermott?
Darko Milanic would like a word.
He wasn't bald.
Juve Rosler?
Darko Milanic.
Rosler, of course. Milanic wasn't bald. How dare you? It wasn't as majestic as it once was, but he definitely had hair.
Not much.
It's still hair. I love that much hair.
So when you can contrast Steinson's baldy head with Daniel Farker's luscious locks, is he the ice to his fire? Maybe, do you think?
So.
So that's good. I wonder if they'll appoint more people, by the way.
I think they probably will.
Stick some more people in.
You get that impression that they're going to, put stuff in place so Victor Orta can't happen again. It's like some sort of enormous, disaster is Victor Orta, isn't it? This must never be allowed to happen again. It's like
this is the public inquiry stage.
It really is. It's like they've discovered a skyscraper collapsed due to some faulty bolts or something, and they're like, right, this isn't going to be the case again.
Yeah, so we can't have one guy in charge of the bolts anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a multi-step sign-off.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it. Yeah, make your bolts better. Simple as that. We've had a pre-season friendly, a secret one, and we beat Barnsley 9-1. I'm telling you, HMS pissed the league.
I must admit, when I saw the news of this breaking, it was a retweet of a Barnsley fan, but I expected it to be a Leeds fan because I don't follow any Barnsley fans, and it said something like, "We've lost 9-1 in a pre-season friendly."
Oh, did you immediately think, doom?
Fuck, have we lost 9-1 to Barnsley? We are really in a lot of bother here. Then within literally 30 seconds later, went to thinking, we're going to win this league. We're going to win this league easily.
Nothing's off the table at this stage. That's the beautiful thing. That's why I'm looking forward to it.
Matteo Joseph will get 50 goals. It'll be like a Haaland for the championship, is what I left thinking.
Is that true?
Probably.
Yeah.
Barnsley have problems, though, don't they?
Yeah,
It's
they
the
do.
Thing. They've directors of the EFL have done that classic thing of like, oh, you know how we said that you were like all fine for 5 years? We've had another look, and it turned out that you definitely should not have been running that football club from that time. They have just tweeted, Barnsley FC tweeted this morning, we need turnstile operators, stewards and catering staff, ahead of the new campaign. So I suppose, I don't know if they'll be putting out like an update soon for that department, the way we've done the update on the football department at Oakwell.
The head of turnstile operations.
But yeah, Mickey Duff left as well, didn't he? Over summer.
Well, yeah, Mickey Duff's left them in the mud, but you know who's taken over?
Danny Wilson.
Nope. Closer to an actual real Leeds connection, because Mickey Duff's connection was through us playing Championship Manager, but their new manager does actually have a real Leeds United connection.
I'll know who it is when you tell me, but I
Yeah,
cannot
well, that's what I'm not going to tell you, because
remember.
you should just know.
Derek Lilly.
No, but you've got the right number of... No, actually, that's one L too few, and that's a big clue.
Neil Collins.
It is Neil
I put him out your misery for crying out
Neil
loud.
Collins with his assistant John Stead. So that's going to be that's a classic 1-2 that's guaranteed to get them. But they've actually got quite a lot of staff. Because I've opened their website to confirm. So they've got head coach Neil Collins, assistant John Stead. There's another assistant coach, Martin Devaney, director of goalkeeping, Thomas Fordry. I know we have a goalkeeper coach who's coming with 5
This guy sounds like he sits in the boardroom.
Exactly. A director of sport performance and analysis, a physical preparation coach, head of medical services and lead physiotherapist, then a physiotherapist, a performance analyst, a kit man, another kit man, and then a massage therapist. I didn't see any of that in our football department statement. Barnsley, who we beat 9-1, have got more of a fucking infrastructure.
I think we have got a kit man.
And the 49ers have been in for 2 days.
What have they done?
Nothing.
We should
just put a statement out saying all the people who had jobs before have still got them.
We should give ourselves gloriously flowery titles in this podcast, by the way.
Such as?
I don't know, that head of speech and operations, because I'm pressing the buttons here and stuff.
I've got buttons too.
What do you want to be?
I don't know. Head of I suppose I'm the slick advertising guy, aren't I?
Yeah,
because the Levi stuff.
Yeah,
they have too much information about their staff. So the massage therapist is Sue Williams. Date of birth. I'm not going to give it out on here because nobody needs to know her date of birth. Nobody needs to know that she's 166 centimetres tall, but there it is.
Oh, can I meant to tell you, thanks to my mate Neil for flagging this one up. In other Tim Pot Yorkshire news, they played each other, didn't they? Did Hull and Barnsley, I think, in a friendly yesterday. Hull have not paid for or will not pay for the yellow tick on Twitter, which means that you're a verified business, because I think it's something outrageous, like £1,000 a month, isn't it, whatever. So what they've done is they've just drawn one on their profile picture.
Everyone should do that, to be fair.
No, they should, but it's gloriously Tim Pot, isn't it?
One of their kit man...
but it puts you in breach of Twitter's terms of service, so they could end up having their account suspended for that. I hope they do.
One of Barnsley's kit men is 5 centimetres shorter than the other, and it says about Malcolm Mitchell that alongside Chris Lee, he makes sure the players and staff at all levels throughout the club are kitted out, not just some levels, all levels. And then the other one, it just says he was working alongside Malcolm Mitchell, so it doesn't say that he's making sure that people are kitted out. But
have you seen
he's the
Barnsley
taller
shirt this
one.
year, by the way?
It's like the old school one with the stars on, isn't it?
It's absolutely awful.
Yeah,
it makes me ever more grateful for our lovely home shirt this year, because it's absolutely dismal.
It's a shame because the shirt it refers back to is actually a really good shirt. But the gradient on it, that fade, is what ruins it. They've just done a bad job of recreating a good kit.
It's sponsored by US Mobile as well, which looks all the world like a fake company that you would see on like a kids' TV program.
Right, let's move it forward. Then we've got a couple of things to talk about before we wrap this up, and we're going quite long here. So interesting to see that Leeds United published the ticket prices on what looks like the back of a receipt. You see that with a little bit of tape? No. What do you make of the ticket prices? 47 quid's fucking outrageous, isn't it? Ridiculous.
Wow. I've got season tickets, so I think I've probably been insulated from how expensive they are for a while, because I don't see it on a daily basis.
Yeah, I looked at that and I went, fucking hell, that's expensive. Yeah. And the impact it was going to have on the away fans, but it looks like there's reciprocal ticket arrangements in place. If that was always the plan, why not tell people? Doesn't escape the fact that it's still 47 quid for adults in the Championship, which is fucking wild in my opinion.
That is a hell of a lot. It'll probably still sell out if things are going well, is the thing.
Yeah.
If it's not going well, let's see how like a Tuesday night game does in, March.
It does always,
if we're 15th.
It does feel like we're always right on the limit of trying to charge as much as we can get away with. It was the same with the memberships.
Yeah, it's eye-watering is 47 quid.
What if Michael Phelps put some money in and then the tickets can be cheaper?
Sounds like a good plan.
It's all right in being along for all the glory because he's not had much in his life. We've not heard from Michael Phelps whether his, 28 medals, that being the most decorated all-time Olympian.
You're going to say his lifetime's ambition was to
actually, what I wanted all along was to be subsidising ticket prices at some club in Yorkshire because all the fans keep moaning
how much
it costs.
That's too many medals.
Put your hand in your pocket, Michael. Well, exactly, too many medals. Sell a few.
I mean, he must have... It says to me there are too many swimming things in the Olympics. There should just be one for swimming.
Yeah,
one medal for
Who's
swimming.
the best swimmer?
He only actually
that should be it. One.
He only actually competed in one Olympics. He won them all in 1 year.
How would you settle it? Who would win the swimming?
Just who's fastest.
What would you chuck them all in a lake or something, or what?
Well, yeah, you can have heats and stuff, but you don't have different strokes and events and relays and stuff.
He got a gold for...
You can swim how you want, but how fast you get there.
He got a gold with armbands. He got one without armbands.
It's like Eki. Yeah, same with running. Just have one for running. Who's fastest?
Would you take out all the doping aspect of it as well and just let them have as much as they want?
You might as well.
Pump yourself full of Lemsip.
A lot of them are at it anyway, aren't they?
Anabolic steroids.
Not Michael Phelps, though, to be clear. He's clean as a whistle, and I welcome him as a new Leeds United owner.
Oh, dear. Maybe
that's a genetic freak.
Maybe that's what the EFL had to do. They had to look at all his doping tests to make sure he was legit. Anyway, a couple of things to wrap up before we head off. Welcome back to Leeds, to the Leeds women who have been playing out of Leeds at Tadcaster for a few years.
Underwater some of the time. As his
frequently floods,
Michael
doesn't it?
Phelps.
It's on a floodplain.
Two options, either grow gills or move to Garforth.
And they've moved to Garforth, yeah.
As they once were when it was Leeds ladies in the breakaway from Leeds United for a bit in the Chilino era.
It's pretty good ground. Tadcaster's also a good ground. Nothing wrong with
just a bit wet.
Tadcaster, a bit wet, bit far out of Leeds, but good luck to Tadcaster Albion because they're all right, aren't they? The Brewers.
Yeah. Women kicking off their season August the 20th against Stockport at home, and then finally let's doff our cap to Pablo Hernandez, who has retired at the age of...
I put 126 on the sheet.
Yeah, is that dog years?
It's just how old he is. He brings a wisdom. I can't accept that he's younger than me. It's really weird. Look at him. Look at what he's done. Look at how much is in that mind of his. There's no way he's younger than me. It's impossible.
It's the same for who is it? I can't remember how old Sunak, the Prime Minister. I think he's younger than me.
Well, there's nothing in his head.
That confuses me.
Let's be clear. Don't you dare lump Sunak in with Pablo.
No, I'm not. I'm just like, how old is he? I'm trying to find out how old he is. Hang on, there's stuff about being in office I don't care about. He's 43. He's younger than me. Ridiculous. You can't be younger than me and be the Prime Minister. I'm a fucking idiot.
There's a famous tweet that went round that was comparing me in my mid-30s thinking I'm in the prime of life, thinking about what all the exciting things I'm going to do with the rest of my career. And then sports commentator, and here he comes onto the pitch, the oldest man in the game. It's a miracle that he's still playing at the age of 35. And it's always quite difficult to, as you hit those years when everyone's like, what's Adam Forshaw? He's like 32 and always had his injuries and stuff. People are like, just put him down.
I view Adam Forshaw as being older than me. In my football mind.
He's about the same age as me as Adam Forshaw, but he's not. He's like 6-7 years younger, something like that.
Yeah. But to my mind, he could be my big brother or my uncle or something like that. In my football mind, like you say, it's because everything's artificially skewed towards being under 30, isn't it? Those young punks.
But Pablo, anyway, good career.
Well done and all that.
Yeah, he was a good player, wasn't he?
Yeah, I really liked Pablo Hernandez.
We could almost... it all came a bit too... He's the one, it's not a regret because we did get promoted with him, but God, if only we'd had him, it'd all come together like 5 years earlier. Would have been great. Because he would still, even now, if we could somehow get like a 27-year-old Pablo Hernandez to play for Farke's team, because he loves a number 10, doesn't he? That's what we would want Pablo for to start again. Maybe just science sort it out.
He's got a few children, hasn't he?
Let us have Pablo Hernandez back, yeah.
Get one of them. Ethan Ampadu played when he was 15. The oldest of the Pablo kids can't be far off that.
I'm not surprised.
I'm suggesting we just put him in the first team.
Just making me think of what Rajazani might have done if young Sammy had been a couple of years older.
God, yeah. He'd definitely have been in pre-season training, wouldn't he?
That Neil Warnock story that's gone round about him giving the decorator's son 20 minutes at the end of a pre-season friendly instead of paying
in lieu of paying for him.
It's like, yeah, I own this club, so you're going to, Marcelo, with the greatest respect I have for all your work, stick your kid on for 20 minutes.
Susanna got a trial sorted for a waiter, didn't she, once?
Yes, Susanna
was it a
Bates.
Maltese waiter?
Yeah, Ken Bates' wife had a Maltese waiter on trial, and don't forget that
he was from
Andrea,
Malta. He wasn't carrying Maltesers, to be clear.
I've always made the mistake. I always thought that Andrea Law, who now our scouting department was called Andrea Law, but it's I-O-R-E.
Iore.
I've been making that mistake for years, so I'm sorry, Andrea, if you've been offended. But no, I am. You've got to try and get his name right. But
I got that wrong too, but that's because you always say it like that.
Yeah, I've always seen it. I'd always assumed, because I would read it in the Yorkshire Evening Post, and I assumed it was just a typo because that's the thing. But he was found by Chilino's wife. He impressed her while selling furniture in Miami, and now still working for Leeds United, but apparently he's a decent analyst. Maybe it's why most of our midfielders resemble old cupboards. It's like he's been the one thing. Like if Victor Orta had taken a similar passive, distant approach to Andrea Ratrizzani and let Andrea Aurore just do what he would be doing, we could have had some Elizabethan chairs just on the pitch. Need a left back. Here's an old wardrobe.
It was Andy Fye who resembled in a wardrobe, wasn't it?
Yeah, I described him as a wardrobe being dumped in the middle of the centre circle.
Right.
About as mobile as.
We will wrap it up there then for this week on the weekly update, where we've had to catch up on things, haven't we? Quite a lot's happened all in one go, and nothing had happened before that. But we're here. Anyway, Michael, do you want to just take a final drink out of the mug just to remind everyone what beautiful... Oh, that was a very authentic sip. That was it.
There you go. I've checked. They are £5, by the way.
Okay.
£5.
It's an absolute bargain.
You might as well get one.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
for £5 you could buy a terrible mug, so you might as well get a good one.
Yes, have a look for those on our website. Summer Special is on there as well. And we'll catch up with you next time.
The Square Ball Podcast.